XDC is the coin of the United Nations. Let's get into that without further ado here. We're going to share something from the CEO talking about XDC, and let's play right now.
Hi, my name is Sunil Senapati. I'm working with Xinfin XDC Network. Xinfin is a Singapore-started Layer 1 blockchain network which primarily focuses on supporting large enterprise-grade applications. I bring in 20 plus years of technology and 5 years of trade finance experience. I see trade finance space is grossly under-digitized, and now industry has come to realize the need for immediate digitization. We feel the adoption will increase when technology can give something tangible to promote trade. Lack of liquidity for SME, which runs into trillions of dollars, seems to be a long-time problem. These SME shipment documents are easily and securely transferable by way of blockchain technology and provided access to a wider pool of investors. Blockchain technology has the potential to tokenize these real-world assets, allowing investors to diversify their portfolios, minimize risk, and create liquidity through automated processes. As a result, investment transactions are generally completed faster and at a lower cost to the parties involved, facilitating higher returns for the investors. Tokenization also provides a host of other benefits such as real-time capitalization, improved accessibility, and greater transparency and reducing scope for any fraud. We're going to utilize IoT for real-time cargo movement, data oracle from various sources to confirm ESG, ship movement, sanction information, etc., smart contract technology to automate trade finance processes, and faster payment settlement through our partner network solution in a seamless manner. To achieve this, we are working with various government bodies, financial institutions, corporates, logistics companies, various trade bodies, and standard organizations in building solutions for the trade finance industry along with our partners. A lot of work is already done. We are progressing quite fast here. We encourage anyone to join us in this space, as we see this is going to change the way we trade in this 22 trillion market, and everybody is going to be winner here.
So you see as he broke down things like trade finance, and that they're going to be working with a lot of different organizations. I think he might even said governments there. He also used the term real world assets. As you can see, this was posted on XDC Network, and this was 2 years ago. This was even before real world assets were kind of really out there. They were just getting that term kind of out in the public, if you will, here. So there it is from the CEO's words. But what I noticed, which first got me kind of digging into this, was the logos. Sometimes things are just hidden in plain sight, and we may go over this video just again to break it down. I know you guys like to hear it all the way through sometimes, so I just let that one play all the way through. But let's go ahead and look at the logos here, which I think are very kind of telling. So this is the Xinfin logo. As you can see, it's the world in between two reefs. Well, it's like one reef, but in between that reef, they have the 5-pointed star, pentagram, if you will. So Xinfin appoints Copper for blockchain asset custody. Okay. So Copper, they're really big overseas. They're one of the biggest kind of asset managers. Our version of Copper over here in the States would be like something like an Anchorage Digital. So Copper is kind of like the British version of Anchorage Digital. So now keep this one in your mind, this logo. We're going to look at the UN logo. Same logo. So the world is just a little different map version of the world, surrounded by reefs, and reefs By the way, one of the things that they're synonymous about is victory. So I don't know if this is the United Nations saying they're victorious over the world, the known world. That's a neither here nor there. That's a different subject, but the similarities of the logos here cannot be understated. Now I know a lot of people will say, okay, well, that's not enough on its own, and I would agree with you, which is why I went looking for, okay, are there any connections to XinFin and the United Nations? Because sometimes people get inspired by big organizations and they try to mimic their logos. Well, is there some connections here? And I went to Grok and I found that there were actually connections here. So starting here, yes, there are several. So I asked Grok, are there any connections between the UN and XinFin or XDC Crypto or R3 Corda? Because XDC is the settlement coin for R3 Corda, which we'll go over in just a second here. And Grok says, yes, there are several connections between the UN and XinFin Network. So one of which is pretty major, the XDC CEO was invited to speak at a UN event. That's huge. That's really, really huge. So, invitation to speak at UN events. The CEO of XDC Trade Network, part of XinFin ecosystem, was invited to speak at the UN's flagship Paperless Trade Week event in 2024, organized by the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, UNIS. This highlights XinFin's role in advancing digital trade and blockchain for global finance. Discussions focused on tokenizing trade assets and bridging the 19 trillion trade finance gap using XDC Network. The reason why this is very kind of apt and appropriate for XDC Network is knowing what R3 Corda is, which it's the settlement for. But let's expand on this here and go to the CEO's LinkedIn. He says, it's a proud day for all of us at XDC Network. We are invited to speak at the flagship event for the United Nations. So we now have double checked that. This is led by United Nations SCAP. And we will go over here to look at the SCAP. Asia Pacific's most exclusive intergovernmental platform driving cooperation for sustainable development. The Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific. Okay. This is the most exclusive intergovernmental platform in the Asia Pacific area. The Commission promotes cooperation amongst its 53 member states and 9 associate members in pursuit of solutions to sustainable development. Okay, so we could go on with that. But I think that's enough. Let's go back. This event will enable participants to engage in expert-led capacity building sessions, interactive demonstrations, technology showcases, expert panels, and networking with innovators, policymakers, and industry leaders. During my session, I will demonstrate our revolutionary solution for XDC Trade Network, which helps the trade participants to digitalize the entire document lifecycle, management, and available trade finance seamlessly and securely. Okay, so this is him, and he even makes the point, and we can verify this is him because we just saw the video. He even makes the point to take a picture right in front of the logo, which is so similar to XinFin logo. Okay, so really interesting there. Okay, very, very interesting there. So again, shout out to the patrons. I gave the patrons an entire list, like about a week ago, in which we covered coins that might be good for trade finance. if you've been up to date on your shows, you know why I'm high on trade finance and kind of real world assets. You'll know that there are laws that have just been passed to make tokenized assets or tokenized securities to be able to trade them through tokenized things like cryptocurrencies on the stock market. So I let the patrons know how they could take advantage of this both in the crypto market and the stock market. So shout out to the patrons, and if you're interested in that, a link is in the description there. But yes, this is a coin I expect will take full advantage of real world assets and doing things for trade finance. And so much so that the UN thought it was necessary to have them speak. Okay. Now, another thing that I saw based on this Gronk post was that this person here was saying, I don't know how true this is. We'll have to double check and verify this, but it's interesting if true. XDC, a fork of JP Morgan Quorum blockchain. Okay. So if that is the case, I'm not sure if you need permission from JP Morgan to fork the Quorum blockchain. I would imagine you do need that. But they're saying XDC is a fork of Quorum blockchain, which I can kind of verify because understand Quorum was given to Consensus, and Consensus are the people who code Ethereum. And JP Morgan owns a piece of Consensus. So, you know, you go ahead and figure that one out. Okay. So, and I can verify because I had some XDC coins in a wallet stuck somewhere. And in order to move them over to, where I wanted to place them, I had to move them to an Ethereum account, and it accepted moving them to an Ethereum account and then move them to an XDC account. So there is some type of hooks in there for XDC and Ethereum, okay? And maybe that's left over from when this used to be a fork of the Quorum blockchain, okay? So forking the Quorum blockchain, the open source Quorum blockchain was developed by JP Morgan and it is a private permissioned blockchain built on the Ethereum network. Xinfin's XDC blockchain is a fork of Quorum. We'll talk about XDC later, but for now, just know that they made some significant changes to the Quorum protocol. One of them is they replaced proof of work with the consensus mechanism for proof of stake. Okay, so not so sure how true that is here. We'll share that tab. I didn't realize you guys couldn't see that, but yeah, so apparently XDC is a fork of JP Morgan's Quorum blockchain, okay? And again, like I said, it is the settlement coin for R3's Corda, okay? So the open source Quorum blockchain was developed by JP Morgan, and it is a private permission blockchain built on the Ethereum network. Xinfin's XDC blockchain is a fork of Quorum, from Quorum. Okay, so very, very interesting. Now, let's go back here. And we see here that it complies with UN standards. XDC supports natives it supports the initiatives. Excuse me, God, I don't know why I blanked off on that word. Like Singapore's IMD Trade Trust, which enables electronic trade documents compliant with the UN's model law on the electronic transferable records from the United Nations Commission on Trade Law. Okay, so it's compliant with initiatives that the UN has. UN-backed frameworks for secure digital trade finance. Broader recognition in trade finance. XinFin has been recognized by organizations like the International Chamber of Commerce, ICC, and the World Trade Organization, WTO, which collaborate with the UN on global trade standards. For example, XDC was the first blockchain to join the Global Trade Finance Distribution TFD initiative in 2021, aimed at digitizing trade assets, a sector the UN actively promotes for efficiency and inclusion. So you can see here there are tons of different things there with it being related to the UN. Since 2019, Xinfin has integrated the R3 Corda via a bridge developed by DASL, allowing the XDC, the native token, to serve as a settlement asset on the Corda network. This enables seamless movement of assets between XinFin's public blockchain and Corda's permission enterprise platform, targeting trade, finance, and payments. So here it is right here that XDC can bridge, XinFin has the public blockchain, and now that will bridge over the Corda's permissioned enterprise platform. So essentially, you could say it's a bridge between the public and private blockchain, targeting trade, finance, and payments. Okay, XinFin was the first blockchain to join R3's global trade finance ecosystem in this way. You can get, if it's trying to do trade finance, it's trying to do it globally. So again, they're going to want to be connected with things like that. And here they also say, so we double check that information, that it's forked from JP Morgan's Quorum. Both platforms emphasize enterprise adoption. XinFin, forked from JP Morgan's Quorum, uses Corda for access to major banks, enhancing SDC's utility and tokenized assets and cross-border settlements. This partnership has been live since 2021 and supports real-world applications like digitizing trade documents. So a lot of unique connections here with XDC. And the UN, I think we'll be exploring this more later as far as like some of these different organizations and how it can help. But it seems here, yes, XDC is the token of the UN. Seems like it does have capabilities with Ethereum. It does have it is the settlement coin for R3's Corda. It's a lot to like about XDC and the way that laws are changing and things are changing right now. I expect this coin to break out sooner rather than later, like very soon. Okay, so if laws keep changing like this, heck, this might have its own ETF very, 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 very soon. And if you guys are not aware, XDC was one of the companies that met with Donald Trump at the White House during one of these crypto balls or crypto functions he had within the last year of time. So we really want to look and check out and watch out for XDC. Here we are. Let me know what you guys think about XDC in the comments. And if you made it to the end, guys, definitely put XDC in the chat. It helps spread the video around. Again, if you made it to the end, put XDC in the chat. And that's it for us, guys. We're out of here, guys. Have a good one. Peace.